Hey guys, welcome back to Chris Hairpire. If this is your first time in this channel, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you're welcome too. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your wig at home. So you place the closure right on the wig cap and clip it down with your T-pin or whatever pin you are using, and turn behind like you see me doing to centralize it so that your closure will be straight. Also pin it down like I just pinned it. Ensure verify the two sides to be sure that the closure is laying flat and straight on the wig cap. Then note this: when sewing, always start from behind, like always start in the middle behind, so that your closure will not go one side or will not bend, so that everything will lay down flat and perfect. So you just go ahead and sew. When sewing down my closure, I prefer using chain stitch like you seen me doing here. It makes it more secured and lays down flat, because at the end of the wig we are going to take off the net underneath the closure. So when sewing the closure, you need to sew the sides to be firm, because we will take off the net underneath the closure. So right here we are going to start sewing. I'm just using this chalk to demonstrate to you how to sew your weave on the wig cap. You can use a chalk like me if you don't master it very well, just to trace your path and how you will sew it down, so that you don't get confused along the way. So these lines are actually much. It depends on the quantity of hair you are using. If your hair is not that much, then you might skip some lines at the back. But if not, if your hair is much, guys, ignore these two lines that I just made here. It's not really all that necessary. You see where I'm sewing my last weave? Right on the closure to secure it and make sure there is no space. Okay guys, so let's start sewing. When doing my wigs, I always sew chain stitch to make sure that everything is laying down flat. So you can always stretch your extension and pin it down to facilitate the work for you before sewing it down like I'm doing right here. So guys, the first weave, I'm sewing it right down because I want the wig to come, that's to be long, and if the person that owns this wig wants to use it, she can actually like hold the wig in a ponytail, should in case if places are hot, and there will not be excess net showing behind. So that's why I always like starting right down. And please, when sewing, make sure the needle doesn't touch or come in contact with the elastic, because if you do that, it will like prevent the elastic from stretching. So make sure your needle doesn't come in contact with the elastic. When you sew and reach by the side where there is elastic, just sew on top of the net on top of the elastic, and your needle should not come in contact with the elastic. So guys, at this level I'm actually doubling the weft. Remember I said when sewing the first and the second line, you sew one weave at a time, but right here I've already gone past the first and second line, so I'm at the third line, so I've doubled the weave, so the weave is double. So we are going to sew it all through double, and somewhere at the middle we are going to sew single weft. That is if your extension is not much, then you continue with double weft. Around the closure we are going to sew single weft around the closure, because you don't want it like bumpy, you don't want it to be like a bomb, you don't want it, you just want everything to slick down. So at the closure side you sew each weft, and this is actually the last line I'm sewing before attaching the last weave that will be attached to the closure. Guys, I want you to watch this technique here, it's very essential. When you get this, your sewing around the closure will always be perfect. So you attach the last weave to the closure line. You see, I'm actually sewing and linking it with the closure. That way there is no gap, and you can't even notice where the closure ends or where the weave ends. So when doing yours, make sure you use this technique. Okay guys, so here we go, we are done sewing. I'm just taking off the extra lace at the front part, and the net, the wheat cap underneath the closure part. Yeah, the reason we're taking this off is because we've blocked the part with